The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Aaronworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackass. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass. I almost went French there for a second.
We're three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
Je sais pas. Est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes, s'il vous plaît?
You tabernacle, you dirty tabernacle.
We are three Canadians speaking right now. Do you think our listeners who are, I mean, I see our demographics are primarily from the U.S. Do you think they have any idea what you just said, Chris?
Yes.
The cultured ones, probably.
Hard yes.
The cultured ones. You think so, Jim?
That's the only people that listen to this shit.
Yeah. So, Chris, what are we doing today?
So we are doing what part are we on, man? It seems like we've been at this for a while.
We're on part 5.
Jesus Louises. We are on part 5.
And what, part 5 of what, Chris?
Of Jackass 3D.
There you go.
The movie.
Yes.
Sweet.
Jackass.
See, Mikey was a little bit...
Wow,
you see, Mikey's a little bit kinder this time after I went off on him the other time. So he's just like, okay, I'm going to...
No, I still feel
kinder.
I still feel completely justified in going after you. There's zero regrets there. I was like editing last week's episode and listening to the number of arguments that you and I got into, Chris. And I still side with myself. I don't feel like I was dragging the conversation down into the mud. I take my side once again on everything that we were talking about. Felt pretty good that I finally voiced my concerns about you and your poor podcasting habits.
Yeah, I mean, you could feel a certain way. It doesn't mean you're right. You're definitely wrong. So
yeah,
whatever.
but I feel right, you know?
Jay, how's your week been so far?
Last week was a shit show. My week's been good. Thanks for asking. Hey, I think the listeners just want to hear us talk about the fucking movie. Should we do that? Sure. Or you guys got something else to get off your chest?
I actually do have one small thing to get off my chest. Obviously. Because there's something stuck on my chest, just like Bam's hand.
Is it that other guy's dick? That's, I don't know. I tried.
That other guy.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, Jay, it's those other guys.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It was a party last night. No, speaking of getting things off my chest, because I had a hand super glued to my chest, a la Bam Margera and Phil. The reason I make that reference is because, Chris, you put a question out to the listeners after the episode where they were playing some Super Mighty Glue.
Tell me we got a response.
We did get a response. It was about huffing glue. and your question was like, is there a range of glue huffing? Is there like the classy glue huffing versus like the black tar heroin of glue huffing?
Yeah.
Well, Joe, long-time listener, he reaches out to us. He says, hey guys, I've been listening to your podcast this morning and the discussion of huffing glue piqued my interest. I thought I'd chime in. He says it all started quite innocently enough in the first grade. While using Elmer's glue for a holiday-themed art project, I accidentally smeared some glue in my hand, but didn't know it until it dried. Once I realized that it dried on me, I peeled it off in one complete flake. I applied more glue to the back of my hand quite liberally, peeled that off, then repeated the process over and over again for months. All the while, I was beginning to enjoy the sweet and mellow aroma of glue. In second grade, he began working with wood glue. No longer could I apply.
Yeah, for sure, this guy can't understand the French that we were talking earlier.
They're giving him wood glue in second grade.
That's honestly, maybe he was like a prodigy. He was like,
must have been.
And he was making these crazy designs in shop class just because he was huffing glue like Jimi Hendrix doing acid and then making a guitar riff. He says the aroma was intoxicating. I'd sit in my 18 pajamas pitying the fools who didn't sniff wood glue for hours on end. Several years later, Super Mighty Glue entered my universe. I learned it provided a nice finish to several hours of huffing gold spray paint out of a brown paper bag in the garage. The experience was so divine that days passed where I wasn't even sure where I was or if I was dead or alive. And he says these days he tips his hat to the covenanting with liquid adhesives. Without a doubt, the younger generation deserves it far more than he does. Huffing glue made him the man he is today.
Wow. Thanks for responding, my friend.
A little positivity on the podcast.
Yeah, positivity about his rampant glue addiction. He really whitewashed that whole thing. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Hey, we got an answer. I knew someone would be able to be there for us.
And if you have answers about huffing glue or anything else about the podcast, you can email them to jackasspod@gmail.com.
Thank you for sharing. That was delightful. I hope you're doing all right.
Jay, he can't understand you. Don't talk to him. He's dead now, probably.
Well, I'm wondering who wrote that letter now. Like, I had to dictate that to somebody.
It's very eloquent for someone who's been huff and brew since grade 1.
I actually had to rewrite it. It was read to me in like a Stephen Hawking-esque voice because he just had to like type it out half paralyzed.
I thought you were going to say he just sent you a bunch of magazine clippings that he glued,
Yeah, like a ransom note.
Like a ransom note,
He glued it indeed, with carpenter's glue. Yeah.
It's right on theme. Well, how about this one? Why don't you try gluing an apple to your ass? Because this next one, well, we're almost going to get there. We're pretty close in the apple of my ass. Oh my God. Title of the year right there. The apple of my ass. It's so obvious, yet you can't put that one into the editing room and fix it or make it better or worse, really. Just leave it alone. It's perfect.
When we were talking, Jay, about which episode or which of these stunts to rate, I said apple of my ass twice, 2 or 3 times, like in the green room before we hit record, and you laughed out loud every time. Our listeners should know that you're not just putting this on. You actually really do love that name.
It's the best title, and I think on dare I say it? Dare I upset half of the population?
I say
Chris does it. Yeah, I was gonna say that's Chris.
It's that kind of podcast, though, right? This is kind of what we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on International Women's Day, go out and find the apple of your ass. Is all I'm saying. Because she's out there waiting for you, buddy.
I don't think that's going to piss off anyone. And
No.
we should say, recording on March 8th, which is International Women's Day. And
the
Chris,
worst
take
part
the
about
stage and
International-
say whatever the fuck you're about to say.
What? Well, the worst part
Don't
about
worry,
it is
it gets worse, folks.
What time does it end? I've been hungry all fucking day.
See, I told you.
Yeah, did you see that on an Instagram post?
100% I did. Man, do you think I'm smart enough to come up with this shit on my own? I just recycle.
If you're going to steal
Right.
jokes,
Hey, that's good
steal
for the
better
environment,
jokes than
though.
that.
So
That's true.
he's doing his part. Mikey, you could be the apple of my ass for this next segment. It's a
I would
love
love to.
story between a small man and a large man. Do you want to be the large man or the small man is what I want to know.
Well, we already established that you have your, as Chris said, your twink body. So
Creamy
I'll
on
be
the
the large
inside,
man in this one.
fluffy and brown on the outside. Listen, so the apple goes into Preston's ass cheeks. Like he's bent over on all fours. And like the sight of it is enough to make Steve-O start gagging. Like it's just something about this man's ass that you can't, your brain can't comprehend it. It's like trying to understand the concept of God. You can't. So you just gag reflexively when you see it. I think.
Apart from Preston Lacey's wife, I'm assuming he's married. I don't know that he is, but if he is, do you think there's another human being on the planet who, in terms of the 5 senses, knows more about Preston Lacey than Steve-O does? He's huffed his farts in a helmet. He's drank his sweat. He's eaten apples that have been in his ass. He's basically he's been all around this guy. All the sights, smells, all that shit. He can describe him to anyone, regardless of whether or not they're missing any of their senses.
So, okay, they sold this one, though, Mikey, as a story between a large man and a small man. But really,
Yes.
I guess we could say the small man is actually a pig named Bob. And this pig is going to eat this man's ass. Does this fall into the bestiality category? Should have this movie gotten a worse rating than it gotten for this alone? I don't know. We're crossing boundaries. Let's just do it. Just go with it. It's fine.
I think it depends whether or not they did this take right after the sweatsuit take. That's the first thing I was thinking. I was like, did you guys do this pre or post sweatsuit sweating this? Because if you went right from that to something else, that's very mean to the animal. If not, I mean, the animal gets an apple. He gets a little tickle. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah,
Get a good tickle. Yeah. But
he does get a good tickle.
I love how the apple falls out and Steve-O's like right there. Like he doesn't want to be anywhere near the ass, but man, when it comes to duty, he's there to support the team. He grabs that apple and just shoves it right back in there.
Well, not before taking a bite. He says it's not going to fit, and he takes a bite out of the apple that was already in his ass, and then shoves it back in there. It's like the thing about Steve-O, and I've already said he kind of has his moments in Jackass 3D where it feels like he's just kind of detached, and we talked about why that is. It's his first time on set of Jackass in his sobriety, but this is one of those moments where he just seems to be like into it. And as much as he's clearly gagging at the sight of Preston Lacey on all fours about to get his ass eaten by a pig, he's so game to just take a bite out of that apple and like double down on his disgust. It's like good on him, you know? Where most people are afraid to do things, he's just kind of like running into danger as opposed to running out, just like the firefighters in 9/11, you know?
All right. You're pulling a bit of a Vince McMahon there, or Stephanie McMahon when she came out and tried to compare Vince McMahon getting put on trial for the steroid scandal against the terrorists attacking 9/11. But anyway, that's besides the point.
She was right. She had a point.
She had a point.
Finally, me and Mikey something we agree on.
Never forget about the steroid scandal.
Never forget. So he runs away because he gets a little spooked like Preston does, and he gets up on all fours, but the apple miraculously stays in his ass, and he runs away offset with the apple still in his ass, it's perfect. It's the perfect button on the sketch. I love
the way he looked when he ran away. It was just so, it just was, it like the shameful run was something so interesting, but it also like in juxtaposition with Pontius when he runs away, it just wasn't as graceful. You know, like Pontius does that run and it's like silly. This was just like pure run of shame. He's like, I got to get out of here. I got to hide. And I don't blame him.
There was a moment in this where it went from being something funny the boys are doing to a little bit shameful. And I think it all clicked with everyone at the same moment. Like there's a moment when Preston Lacey's just on all fours and he just keeps yelling Bob. He's like, Bob, Bob, Bob. And Bob's eating his ass.
Yeah.
And everyone on set just gets quiet. Like it's not funny anymore. It 1-to-1 is like the scene from season 1, episode 1 of Black Mirror, where the politician has to fuck a pig. It had, have you guys not seen that?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
It had that vibe because it's just that weird, the build up to it. And then just the kind of the reality of what they're doing setting into everyone. And they're like, fuck, I don't know about this anymore, man. They all just have that regret. And it was a little awkward for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mikey, you asked before we started, are we going to bother rating this one? Because we didn't know if it was in, interstitial territory or if this counts as a sketch. But all I could say is I'm glad we're rating it, because the more I think about it, the more there is to tear down here and talk about. So I'm going to jump in and start with this. First of all, you get bonus points no matter what the rating is for the fucking title alone. We all know that. I think that's going around the table here. But I do want to unpack that. The thing I loved about this is that it starts out and you're kind of not really sure if it's going to be a winner, because it seems pretty simple. It's like, oh, okay, the pig's going to eat the apple out of his ass, whatever. This is going to be like one of those Wild Boys stunts where you expect a lot and then it's kind of like the animal didn't really play along. But when you mention Preston, Daddy was asking, for Preston to say his name, and he obliged. And yeah, I mean, that alone was creepy, but I was laughing hysterically at it because it is uncomfortable, but there's just something to the whole, like, it makes you stop and go, holy shit, I'm watching like a film production here. This was released in theaters. What I'm watching right now was seen globally in theaters across the world.
Someone had to sit in a boardroom and discuss the idea of Preston shoving an apple up his ass. This is like, there are budget approvals for things like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost one of those old-timey porno theaters at this point. And I think, like, just overall, Preston running away with the apple in his ass, like, if it would have fallen out, it wouldn't have been as amazing as it was. There's just so many little things that happen here that shouldn't have happened. Steve-O taking a bite. Yeah. It's just good all around. Not my favorite thing ever, but it's getting more than I think it deserves. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10, believe it or not. Wow. Apple of my ass, 8 out of 10. You heard it here.
Wow. Chris, what about you?
I agreed with a lot of what Jay said. Definitely the title. The name is one of my favorite names of any Jackass sketch. I don't know. It's just fun to say. I definitely like that a lot. The weirdness of the pig and the human interaction didn't bother me as much as it probably should, partly because
I'd believe it.
You're sick, Mikey. You're just sick. You're into like devil worshipping stuff. But anyways, I digress.
That was a little out of left field, but all right. Continue. Because when you look at it quickly, the way that Preston's sitting there, he almost looks like legitimately just like a bigger pig.
He kind of
Which I'm surprised none is mentioned yet, because it's like the same skin color almost. Like it's the same like tinge. He's a little muddy. If you just like kind of, I have bad eyes, so when you kind of glance, you just could see it being another pig. So that didn't bother me as much as I thought, I think, in general. It wasn't like the greatest thing. So I'm going with the 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Boy. Nice. I agree with that point you made, Chris, about like there's a certain point where you can't tell where Preston ends and the pig begins. And that got me thinking, like, what about this for a name? Human Centipig.
It's a pretty good name. It's just not as fun to say. You know,
you
don't mess with a perfect. You don't mess with a perfect creation.
That's true.
But that was actually when you started that, I was going to get mad at you for even attempting. But that was actually pretty damn good.
Honestly, this one I legitimately did find awkward. It had its moments. Like, thank God Steve-O was there on set. Thank God Johnny called for the apple from offset and it hit Wee Man in the dick. That was really funny as well. But it's like all the funny things about this one existed around the main draw, which was Preston getting his ass eaten out by a pig. That itself kind of put a damper on it. So because of that, I think it hit the mark missed the mark with what it was trying to do. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 10.
Ooh, divided we are. But hey, that's how this shit goes. I'm looking at my score now. I'm almost second guessing going that I went too high, because I'm like looking back and I see the jet engine was only 7 out of 10.
Gee, your ratings are fucking all over the place.
You know what? I came in hot. I got a little excited, but I'm not going to walk it back. I said it. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking to that. It's fine.
Like you said, Jay, it's not your favorite.
It's not a corn sledding. It's not, and it will never be. But it was pretty good. I don't know. Got nothing more to say about it. You know what I got a lot to say about, though? Porta potties. Let's talk about them. You see, Dave England, he thinks he's safe here. He really does. He believes it to his core. And look, when you're walking to the porta potty and there's a sweet lady coming in on the one next to you, you got to give her a little wink, little nod. And he does, little gentleman's nod there. I think this threw him off, you know? Maybe they planted her to, like, you know, ease the suspicion.
I think it was to make sure he got into the right porta potty.
Okay.
You can see her kind of walk in front of the other door and just be like, oh, and then she's going to like pretend to go into the other one. And so he goes into the one straight ahead.
Right. Man, the strategy at play here. I never would have, that didn't even occur to me. Yeah. But holy shit though, guys. I love that we get a porta potty explosion here with a camera on the inside this time. That was great. That made this so much better. It goes up his nose into his brain, which would explain a lot.
Maybe that's when he started to develop his PTS Dave.
I think it was like particularly bad because he's the first person that wasn't like sitting on the can or didn't have something to muffle it with their ass. You know what I mean? Like it just shot up. Like when he snots it out of his nose, you're like, that really can't be fucking good for you.
It can't be good.
No way.
I think Dunn got it on half his body, but they exploded it like right when he got in there. Maybe it's because they didn't have a camera to monitor it, which is weird because does that mean they were monitoring the cameras when other people were going to the bathroom as well? I don't know. Who knows? But so Dunn didn't sit down on it. I actually think it would have been worse if you pull your pants down and sit down on it. The pressure that thing goes with is going to shoot up it's going to give you an enema. And you're going to get so fucking sick if it does that. But I love a good prank, and I love the pranks on the Jackass sets. The one line I think they crossed is having the camera inside, not because there's a camera inside a bathroom necessarily. It's because it caught Dave in the most intimate moment in his life. He gets in and immediately looks in the mirror and checks his hairline and kind of looks at himself like he's he's acknowledging, he's like, I'm not the person like he has that look of like self-consciousness looking in the mirror, like I'm aging. I'm like, there's a moment there. And I'm like, we were not supposed to see that. We were not supposed to be brought into that very self-reflective moment. And then he just gets blue shit shot up his nose. It was like, I felt gross being like a voyeur in that scenario.
No one in the history. I honestly don't think it's just because there's not cameras in every porta potty. I legit think he's the only person in the history that's ever checked their hair and tried to spoof up their hair in a fucking porta potty of all places. You want to get in and out as fucking fast as possible. You ain't fucking sitting there trying to spend any more seconds than you need to.
Hey man, whoever's in charge drawing up the blueprints for that idea, he was excited. If he was watching, he's like, nice. Somebody used it. Somebody used the mirror. I've been waiting. I knew that was going to be a good idea. But yeah, you're right. It is an intimate moment that we interrupt. But in my opinion, I think that makes it better. Yeah, it's a little unfair. I'll agree, but he did not see that coming, and I don't know. I think that's enough said right there.
Yeah, that was a fun one, though.
It's a fun one. And when he comes out and he's like half blue and it's in his nose and on his face and he's just classic Dave. Like he just doesn't, he's like piecing it together in his brain and you can just see he's shell shocked. And yeah, it was a good stunt, but I'm with you guys. I'd never want that shit anywhere near the inside of any of my cavities.
Yes.
But hey, we must move on to the next sketch of the day, which is, fantastic here. Duck hunting. Yeah, kids, get out your fucking zappers. Let's do this shit. I love the setup. You know, they got the giant balloon.
Was that a Nintendo reference, Jay?
It may have been.
I like that. That was good.
May have been.
Get out your zappers. Yeah, the orange Nintendo zapper that we all had.
Yeah. Did you know if you plug in a controller into the second port, you can ruin your relationship with your brother for the rest of your life?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did know that.
And here we are today.
If you similarly plug a controller into the second port of a PlayStation, you can beat Psycho Mantis in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, that was one of the coolest. Wasn't it the memory card, not the controller?
No. Psycho Mantis would read your memory card, and if you had played any Konami video games or had the save games on the memory card file, then he'd be like, "Oh, I see you like Castlevania," and you're like, "What the fuck? Psycho Mantis knows everything."
That creeped me out when that was happening. That was pretty cool, though.
And if you plug a controller into Mikey's butthole, he'll show you his solid snake, if you know what I mean.
Well said. Well
solid
said.
Snake there. Better than a liquid snake.
That's what comes out when you pull the controller out.
All right. Yeah, okay, we got to get to the duck hunting. I love the setup here, as I was saying. They're at the lake, got the guys in the canoe, you know, a couple beers, couple oranges, cooler full of, what is that, a King of the Hill episode? Cooler full of peaches? That's from something. Fishing on the fishing boat. I'm getting off track. It doesn't matter. I like the get-up, though. They're all wearing, like, the fishing vests and shit. You know, they got the attire, but they've got paintball guns, and then you got this big balloon, like, floating in the fucking lake, and a dude sitting on the end of it in a duck suit. And then as soon as you piece it together, you see the crane, you see the balloon, you're like, oh, shit, I know what's going to happen.
Have you never been on a blob before, Jay?
Yeah, they call it the blob.
They call it the blob?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Nah, you guys ever
I've done it
launched
before.
like that before?
Yeah. I've launched people, been launched. It's pretty cool.
Is it
Out of the
fun?
camp we went to,
does-
shout out Muskoka Woods.
Does it fucking hurt when you land like that, though? Like,
I never got
like
like nearly that high because they were like little kids, so they weren't like sending counselors down. They were like,
True.
but yeah, it was pretty sick, man.
You get a ton of air. Yeah, it's fun. So the whole premise of this one is amazing, and looks like it would be fun to be a part of, whether you're jumping, whether you're being tossed from the blob, or whether you're shooting. Like, this one just looks like so much fucking fun to be a part of, especially if you're rotating it and you get to be part of it at all points of it. I want to be the duck. I want to be the shooter. I want to be the jumper. This one was amazing.
Yeah, this is the definition of a big production idea that was visually worked out, like the actual like technicalities of it worked out. It was just like it hit on every different angle, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And it was like such a grand idea. A lot of the times they make these huge productions and they rent this and they have these people here and they're wearing weird costumes. Like every single like aesthetic about this entire thing just hit the mark perfectly.
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
Oh, and I gotta say, like, Ryan Dunn takes the cake on this one.
Oh my God,
Ryan Dunn ragdoll physics his way right into my heart on this one. Arms straight out, legs straight out, just doing front flips for like a couple seconds.
It looks like they launched a mannequin. Like,
yeah, it does.
Him as a duck. What do they call him? Buck Rogers or whatever his name is, like traveling through time. Like, they have that animation of him. Someone on set makes that reference. That's not my joke, but that's literally what he is. He's just splayed out, spinning through time. It's fucking hilarious. But there was one moment, and I'm surprised no one called this out. Not you guys, but people on the set. The first jump that happens, it's Steve-O and Andy Bell. They're jumping onto the blob to launch whoever. Was it Dunn getting launched every time?
No, it's different people.
No.
Okay. So the first time, I can't remember who it was, but they jump, and Andy Bell is 2 feet away from not landing on the blob. He goes like almost right beside it. Like, he just would have splat right on the ground, and they just like move on. It's just a day in the life of being on set of Jackass, like nearly losing your life, but they got the shot, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just said jump a little bit to the left. It's not rocket science.
Exactly. Yeah. You had a massive target you could have hit and you missed it. That's on you, dude.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Good sketch, though. Well put together. Good idea. Had lots of fun with it. Who wants to rate it first?
I'll go. You never go first.
I'd love to go first.
Yeah.
I'd love to go first. Thank you so much, Chris, for allowing me this time.
I got a stern talking to from Mikey last night. We went to go see a great concert. Donnie Benet, classiest dude in the game. He is. The only problem about being at his concert is he's a little too sexy. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. Like, I was just sitting there in awe, just staring at him. I'm like, man, this guy is like what I want to be.
He could have had his pick of anyone in that,
including me, including guys, women. He breaches the sexual boundaries. He's a beast. Look up Donnie Benet.
Look up Donnie Benet. DonnyBenet.
Search his videos on YouTube. Like Santorini or Working Out. There's a lot of great songs. But anyways, I digress.
I don't know. I'm a little bit more of a fan of his brother, Ronnie Bidet. Ronnie.
See, I like his.
He's more my style.
I like
his daughter, Dawn Benet Ramsey.
Fair enough.
I like his fight promoter, Don King Benet.
We just keep going all day.
I like it.
I'm glad I got one in. I'm never fast enough to get one in. And even though it was bad, I'm glad I at least partook.
No, it was good. It was good. I liked it. No, I'll go first though. You were telling a story, Chris. You said you had a stern talking to. That's why you were talking.
Yeah, well, in the middle of the concert, Mikey was just like, "Hey, you know what? You got to tone it down, Chris." I was like, after the last episode, I actually kind of agree.
It's funny because we joked in the last episode about having to edit out things that you were saying, and we're like, well, that's not going to be a common thing. We did that once, and I did have to edit out another thing in last week's episode.
I
kept Jay's full wrestling promotion.
I requested if you felt in the mood to not include that, but I'm glad you did because I got a call from Triple H and he thinks he sees something here, so we're workshopping it. I'm gonna fly down to Connecticut and we're gonna have a chat by the pool, see what happens.
Oh man.
Nice.
All the best to you. I hope it works out.
Me too.
Now we're crossbreeding the twink body and the steroid scandal. It's going to be interesting.
I think you liked the part where I talked about the balls. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was mainly. Yeah. I think that was the biggest part most people took too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go for my review on this one. It just felt like, to Chris's point, sometimes on a movie you have a big budget, so you put together a production, and sure, this isn't building a ramp. It's not like a massive production, but they did have to bring the crane out there. They got the blob, which may have already existed on this summer camp. It looks like it's almost like a camp or something, but they went for it. They all got up in costume, and I really think it worked. Paintballs are always fun. Ryan Dunn just steals the show as a lifeless flipping bird in the air. I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Actually, I was considering maybe a 7.5 because I know I've been going. All of my things have been trending. I'm going to go with an 8. I'm going to go with an 8 on this one.
Nice,
Chris. What about you? You were pretty eager.
Yeah, I mean. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a good score. I thought I love when they draw it up and it works out perfectly. I love hunting. I love swimming. I love blobs. Like this.
I thought you were all out on cankles.
That's not a blob, Mikey. Stop disrespecting the audience, okay?
Okay.
You're hurting people right now. You're hurting people's feelings.
Yeah, that's my role.
Yeah. But this is a solid 9 out of 10 for me. I don't need to see like crazy pain. Wow. I don't need to see this or that. It was fun from beginning to end, and you got to see someone get launched off that like Dunn did and just fly in that crazy way. That alone takes a cake for me. But everybody else had good things. There was some fear, some danger, some funny moments. That's a 9 out of 10 in my books.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, it's great when you can see the human body do these amazing things that you don't get to see every day. You can't reproduce this in your backyard, So I'm with you guys. I'm going to stick with an 8 out of 10 on this one. Pretty high. Plus, I feel like if I go any lower, then I'm just giving too much credit to the apple of my ass, which still great title. Still just want to let myself go even saying it now. But that's where I'm at with this one.
Nice.
All right, guys, we get a return of something we haven't seen since, I think the last time we would have seen it here on the podcast would have been CKY, if I'm right. This is the Fat Fucks suit coming back for an appearance in Jackass 3. What do you think of this? We got a shopping cart going down a snowy hill, and remind me, is this, I didn't write down who it was. It's either Brandon or it's like Dave or...
It's Danger Aaron's in the
It's
shopping
Aaron.
cart.
Okay, it's Aaron. So I'm way off.
Yeah, this one's tough. Like he's going down on the shopping cart and he gets launched at the beginning of the jump. His whole idea is he's supposed to jump over like, you know, a frozen puddle of water essentially and hit the other side. But this is infamously one of 2 times Danger Aaron broke his neck.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like that at the end.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. And Chris is about to sneeze. There we go. This is podcasting at its finest. This is one of 2 times that Danger Aaron broke his neck on the set of Jackass 3D. And it kind of sucks watching this knowing that, because you can just like when you're watching someone take a hit when they're in a suit like this, like a fat suit, you think that all the hits aren't going to hurt very much, but knowing that the way that he lands contributed to a broken neck just makes me a bit squeamish on this one. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
Well, it's I think I've had like 2 different feelings. One is like, it's funny how sometimes the most innocuous seeming things end up being where those little mistakes happen. It's like people don't take it just a little less seriously. They're not doing the same type of calculations because you're protected by the fat suit. You're in water. Yeah. Like it was like basically a water pit. You see the shit on TV all the time. So you're like, what's really going to go wrong? Then the other side of the coin is selfishly, I kind of like very selfishly like when something like this, I don't want him to break his neck, obviously, but
I'm so curious where you're going.
No, it makes every other thing that they do, it like re-heightens that like fear factor when you're watching them do this, because you don't want them to get hurt, but you're like, if something that seems so like generic could have one of the more serious injuries anyone's gotten on this thing, it just ramps up every other sketch, in my opinion, in a certain way.
That's a good point. That is a good point. It reminds you that they're human.
And things can happen and go wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, like he does clear the gap though while eating a donut. I just want to, point that out. There was a little bit of a success story there. I mean,
a little bit.
He might have been the first man to do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'll tell you another first for another small step for man in this next one. This is really bad, Grandpa, with Knoxville. What, Chris? You're laughing at something? Something funny?
No, I'm really bad, Grandpa. I like that. I like that line.
We got Knoxville. He's back as the dirty old man, but yeah. I mean, hey, on one hand, totally wrong what he's about to do here. I mean, come on, just despicable, deplorable behavior that should not be replicated or even shown on television screens, even in this time period, given the context of the film. I just think it's way out of line. But on the other hand, because I mean, we've got to look at both sides. On the other hand,
she's hot.
She is. Dude,
and it's a step of progress in for all you who's the ones in the States that marry their cousins?
People from the States.
Okay, so there you go, progress. It's kind of like keeping it in the family,
I mean, the royal family did the exact same shit. Let's be honest, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean that's just nepotism, though. I mean, got to get those good spots. Best seat in the house. Got to fuck somebody. Might as well be your,
No, we don't. What do you mean?
I'm just saying that shit's fucked up, and it gives someone else a turn.
Come on. All right, so I'm just going to go give a quick little synopsis because I want to go through the mind of Chris when I'm watching this.
Wait, Chris.
Yes.
Chris, you just made me think of something.
Yeah.
Would you fuck the queen if it meant you could be royalty?
100%.
Would you...
Is this pre or post?
I would motorboat those fucking English muffins in a fucking heartbeat.
You always got the best titty one-liners. That was a good one. And it fits. It's contextual, too. Right? So, I mean, like, yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
Then I would fucking butter up. I'd fucking spray my butter on those crumpets. But anyways.
Man. The Great British Bake Off has never sounded so good.
So basically, we have the bad grandpa, and he's sitting there in public with who, at the time, you don't know who this girl is. and he's making out with her aggressively in front of this random dude that's sitting there, which is a sight to see to begin with. And as things are going on, he looks over to the guy, and the guy goes, it's a black guy, and he goes, excuse me, homeboy, can you take our picture? Which was the greatest line I've seen in a while. Just such old man ignorance at its finest. Then they start making out, and he says, he reveals that it's his granddaughter. It's not actually his granddaughter. People don't get worried or stuff, but the innocent bystander thinks it's his granddaughter. Chaos ensues. His wife, like the grandmother, comes around and ends up, having an issue with them and this and that. But when I'm watching this, I always said this in so many times that I like to envision, especially the prank ones, how I would be reacting if I was the person being pranked. And that's why I find them all so funny. So I'm sitting there and I'm like trying to put myself in the shoes, and I'm like, if you're that guy sitting there, you're seeing this old man like making out with this pretty hot chick, I'd be like, fucking way to go, bud. And then all of a sudden, he makes an ignorant comment to you. So now you're kind of getting offside. And then he completely sweeps the rug and slips in that it's his granddaughter. You would go through like the entire spectrum of like, I love this guy, to this guy's an absolute scumbag so fast. It's just like bing, bong, boom. And then now you're sitting there, and this guy was a perfect guy for this bit. He held strong. This guy was basically the man of the year. Like, he did not compromise. It's good to know there's still some people out there like this that are not willing to put up with that bullshit.
Salt of the earth, dude. Yeah. You're so right. Like a lot of the times the prank depends on the audience that is being pranked. And in this case, they got the perfect person for it. I wonder how many times they ran through this stunt, because I guarantee you it wasn't just one time. And I'd love to know what sorts of other reactions they got. This guy just seemed great, even though he was just sitting in public making voice notes on like some tape recorder. Like, what the fuck are you doing in public? That's like, this is pre-smartphone days and probably like Bluetooth headset days. You're not supposed to speak to technology in public now. So him doing that back in 2010 is like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I want to listen to back to that tape now. That's all I want. I just want to know what's on that tape the moment he encounters, What was he talking about seconds before this happened?
That's a great question. This guy had businessman starter pack version 1.0. He had like the businessman sunglasses, the businessman goatee.
If it was a few years later, he would have had that Bluetooth for sure.
He would have had the Bluetooth 100%. He had the like shoulder strap laptop bag with just like a bunch of folders in it.
It would have been funny if he was like the number one guy in like he was like actually like into like incestual porn, and all he was doing was like doing a motivational tape, being like listening to some guy like, you will not concede anymore. You were a stronger person than this, and he gets tested with the biggest test and fights through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then good on him.
Yeah. And good on him. Okay. Man, you got to give her some credit, though. I mean, she really took one for the team here, for America, and for lemon parties.
She got
all
to
across
make out
the world.
she got to make out with Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah,
sure.
That's true.
Lemon party or no? Yeah.
Hey, here's what we'll say. Like, she was such a score that all those lemon party guys, they all immediately, when they saw that, they went from half chubby to zero in a matter of seconds. I'm telling you, it was.
Is that because they're not attracted to her?
He did all right. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's jealousy. Maybe it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
But yeah,
I feel like I need to watch Lemon Party for research, because you bring it up.
I keep bringing it up, hoping one day you'll watch it, and then I win basically once that happens. Yeah. So yeah, you guys are right though. Like, if you saw this in public, I'm kind of taking Chris's stance now of like, what would I be thinking if I saw that? Because I think my immediate thing is not way to go, buddy. Sorry, Chris, but it's probably something's wrong here. Something's terribly wrong here. I don't know what yet, but
it's a hot boy summer. We got to shout out for the boys.
Yeah, it could be a hot boy summer. It's just like a fling. She's not really into it. They'll never talk again after this. But hey,
pretty into it. In that,
this is before the social media days too, so you could get away with a thing like this and nobody would know. It wouldn't be all over the fucking place.
That's true too. That's true too.
Granddaughter.
Apparently, they had a lot of trouble filming with Johnny Knoxville dressed up as Irving Zisman, because he kept getting recognized. Like, this was 2010. This is 10 years after Jackass first came out. So at this point, it's like Eric Andre having trouble doing stunts now. Like, he's such a recognizable face now that sometimes it works, but sometimes it's just impossible to get anything done in private.
And especially with prank shows, it's the problem that they all have. It's like you almost want to like bank on getting famous before you get famous and film just an entire archive of things, because you start finding these, like, Impractical Jokers was the funniest show, maybe one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. They still have a new season coming out, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, there's no way in the world they're an entire room and nobody knows who these people are. Like, everything just seems so fake. Even the ones that maybe slip through the radar, you can't even believe it anymore. And that sucks because it's a great concept, but it only lasts so long, my friends.
Yeah. Yep. They got to go overseas or something like that.
You think they can tell something's off, though? I had that question. Like, if you get approached, and even if you didn't know it was Knoxville, just by the makeup alone, do you think this guy's going...
100%.
You know?
It baffles me that Johnny, as Irving Zisman, can have a conversation face-to-face with anyone and them not think that they're being pranked. But again, maybe 2010, the sentimentality is a bit different. Not everyone is fully aware of this like prank show culture. But now I just don't think you could get away with that.
You right, Mikey?
Yeah, I burped a little bit.
Disgusting.
It smells like Preston Lacey's ass.
How was the apple? Was it a Granny Smith?
I chewed it to the core, and I'm not talking about the Granny Smith, baby.
Ooh. Ooh. It's getting hot in here. Listen. Hey, guys, this next sketch, all I got to say about this shit is...
Oh no.
Sorry, I was eating ass earlier too. Another Rocky. It happens
He's
so
giving
fast.
up like Rocky in his first fight with Ice-T with Mr. T.
Ice-T. Oh, now, yeah, okay, sure, Mikey, Ice-T, yeah, right.
That's not as bad as
Whatever. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Ice-T is fine. It's fine. I like a good glass of the iced tea, the OJ, whatever you got. It's all good for me.
Where do you guys rate this one? Because he gets Rick Cossack in the Rocky. This one obviously throws water on one side of the face, punches him on the other side. Where do you rate this one relative to the others?
This is the worst one, I thought.
Are we rating this one?
Not rating like out of 10, but just like compared to the others.
This is the softest one yet, if you ask me.
Yeah, it happens so fast too. Like I said, though, it's just that same thing that always amazes me. The water hits the face and no reaction. They're just kind of frozen in time, and then they get punched, and it's like, I don't know. Why is that so amazing to me?
Cool idea.
Why is physics
I don't know.
blowing my mind right now? This shouldn't be.
I just don't think you have time to react. Like the
Who,
amount
me
of
or the
time
guy
between
getting punched?
water. The guy getting
What are you
punched.
saying?
The amount between water on the face and then punched in the other side of the face. I don't think you have time to react to the water before you're already getting punched, you know?
Okay. So I'm not slow.
Did you know, by the way? No. Did you know, by the way, that Preston Lacey, when he did this, when they got him, actually got a concussion from that?
No way, really?
He had 3 concussions on set in the same day. One of them was the field goal kick to the face. The other one was the Rocky, and I can't remember the third one, but yeah.
All right.
Where'd you find that out? The Discord server?
Just doing some research. You know, like a good host.
Ram
That's what I
Jam.
am.
Ram Jam time. You guys ready for Randy the Ram Jam? Or Ryan the Ram Jam,
I'm ready,
I
man.
should say.
I'm ready.
Oh, another one.
Fucking Chris. You just can't help but drop shit all the time. That's fine. We'll leave it in. I don't care anymore. You broke me.
You broke Mikey.
Nice. So I win. Now all Mike has to do is watch that lemon thing you're talking about, and he's just defeated. We just defeated him. It only took 100 and something episodes.
That's it.
Purposely sabotaging him.
That is the strategy, folks. That is how you do it. You want to break someone down. Anybody you got to break down. Your spouse, your little brother, whoever it might be, your college professor. So maybe you want to
Your podcast co-host.
Well,
That's how you break them down.
You just it's just rubbing them down. Like it's like polishing a rock. You know, they say how you could chip away at a mountain with a chisel. It's kind of like that. You know, you just got to be patient. You'll get there eventually. Just don't give up.
Jay, I
It's
like that analogy because it's like when you go to like in Europe and you're in those like religious places, like there's like certain things like, oh, you touch the foot of this statue.
Okay.
Like it like literally
right.
dwindles down to this like smooth, like perfectly circular thing just by like decades of just one person like just petting it with their hand, and it's like a polished stone. It's pretty cool. So yes, we've done that to Mikey. Now we just got to do it to his mustache.
Polish my stone
So there's a statue of Mikey in a monastery somewhere, is what you're saying, trying to say.
with a very smooth foot that people pet every time they come by because it's always their foot for some reason.
I like it. I just want to know what pose you're in. That's what I want to know. Think about that.
It's head in hands because I've been dealing with Chris this whole time. It's like the Thinker, but instead of my fist on my chin, it's just both of my hands splayed over my face.
Perfect. That's that should be the new podcast thumbnail. All right. The Ram Jam. So this is Ryan Dunn in a marching band outfit. Guys, I see these boys know a thing or two about budgeting and recycling costumes, if you know what I mean. I feel like this is the same fucking costume from Jackass Forever. They just pulled it out of the old mom's attic, dusted it off, and shit, it's ready to go.
Not mom's attic. They probably just grabbed it from the trunk of his truck. Remember on the Cribs episode, he just has all of his costumes in his car and he lives in the
costume department. So he's got a tuba, but he really doesn't get much tuba-ing in here without getting fucked up by this ram that they've let loose on him. And it is, this thing is relentless too. Like, it does not quit.
It fucking hates Ryan Dunn.
It hits with enough force to like just knock him clean over again and again. And for something that's like only the height of his knees, it's pretty impressive, you know? Like,
that's the worst place in my mind for something to hit. Like, I feel like it just would buckle your shins, snap your tibia or your fibia, whichever one that is, or bust your knee backwards. Yeah,
your labia, I think is what you.
Labia, yes. I loved the energy of this one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this was one of my favorite parts of Jackass 3D. You know, Ryan Dunn getting in there, and this goat or ram, whatever is a ram. Yeah, Ram Jam, of course. This ram, like, fucking, like, they say how crows can recognize faces and like hold grudges. This ram fucking hated Ryan Dunn from the second he got in there. Steve-O gets in, and, you know, he catches his jeans on the thing. It takes him a while to get in. This would be like a good scene from WWF or something where like the guy's getting pinned down and he can't enter the ring to like help his friend, and his friend's just getting the shit kicked out of him or something like that.
Dude, how happy would Steve-O must have been? Because for him not being Pontius in there with him, who always gets no attention from the animals, and they always focus on Steve-O. He's finally sitting around like, man, this is how fucking Chris skates through all these Wild Boy episodes.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a great point. Yeah.
Mikey, was that Ram you? Like, is that a reincarnation of you? Because, like, I don't know anybody that's hated Ryan Dunn as much as that fucking Ram. And if you go back to season 1 of this podcast.
Only Plugs era Ryan Dunn. Like, season 1 and 2 of Jackass Ryan Dunn. But I gotta be honest, like, the Duck Hunt, just all of Jackass 3D is, like, the best. Ryan Dunn is one of my favorite people in this movie. And this is him coming full circle. So, and I always said it back then when I shat on him, I was like, I know he gets to a better place. He's just not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I think this whole sketch too is just, it's funny to watch. We're not going to rate it, I don't think, but it's funny to watch just because of, like, again, how fucking relentless that ram is. It's got some heart. And like you guys said, I didn't even think about that whole aspect of like Steve-O getting in there. That's just so funny to me. But, yeah,
when Steve-O Steve-O stays in there, and Dunn's finally like, okay, guys, I've had it with this though. And he climbs over the fence, and the ram goes full like Rorschach from The Watchmen. Like, you're not locked, or I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Because Steve-O's like laughing, and the ram's just like, oh, you find this fucking funny? I was taking it easy on you, bitch. And like runs right up to his knees.
Yeah, you can't underestimate that little fucker. That's he's got some heart. I think though, boys, we're probably going to put a pin in it at this point. This movie as like a long series for you guys, and we really want to savor it because it is the last big film for the foreseeable future. So we are going to stop it here, but we want to do, of course, as we always do, real quick, our MVPs and LVPs. Who's got it first? Who's going to jump in on this one?
Go for it, Mikey.
Sure, I'd love to go for it. My MVP in this one, this segment, it's gonna be it's you know what, I was gonna say Ryan Dunn because he has a lot of good entries, but I'm gonna give it to Dave Englund in this one just because after seeing the way he looked in the mirror, I really think he needs it. I think he needs the confidence boost. So he's my MVP for this segment. Jay, what about you?
I'm going to actually go with, believe it or not, Chris Pontius. Or sorry, not Chris Pontius. Why did I say Chris Pontius? I meant Preston Lacey. Pontius is always a good pick, though. But Preston Lacey, because he took the sketch with a beautiful title, The Apple of My Ass. I don't know if I'm going to get to say that again. So one more time. And he made it sure that it didn't suck. Like, it wasn't the best idea. It's not like like a golden idea that is just going to blow up and be great just based off the concept. It could have fell really flat, but he took it, and so much funny, like, random shit just happened there that he had me laughing, and it was unexpected, and I guess the title lived up to its name. So thank you, Preston, for that. I'll give you the win on this one, buddy.
That's fair.
I'm definitely going Dunn. That duck hunting thing,
Nice.
that visual, just like I could have that as a poster, him just upside down spinning like that. That wins it for me.
Yeah,
Totally.
that and also just him in the Ram Jam as well was great. LVPs, this one's a little tough. I think it was a pretty good showing, a pretty good segment, so there weren't very many weak points, but I'm actually going to give it to Irving Zisman's wife for getting reverse cucked for 10 minutes straight. Get your man in line, bitch. I'm sorry, that was really rude.
No, but it's true.
Yeah, and you're not even talking to a real woman. That's just fucking what's his face? In this guy.
No, that wasn't Spike.
No,
It
that
wasn't
was
Spike
actually
Jones.
a-
It wasn't Spike Jones. It was
Oh,
actually
it
a
wasn't
real woman.
Spike? Oh, okay.
No.
Well, sorry, madame. You're probably not with us anymore. But listen, I'll go with my LVP real quick since I'm already fucking blabbering anyway. I think the clear LVP here is where I just had it. Who the fuck would? Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so it's the dude. It's the dude on the tape recorder for sure. Because
Oh, okay.
I mean-
LVP? He was the salt of the earth.
no, he's the LVP for this reason. He has recorded evidence of everything that Knoxville said about it being his granddaughter, and somehow there was no lawsuit.
That's a good point. That's a very
Buddy,
good point.
what are you doing? Nobody carries
That's a
a
really
tape
good one.
recorder.
My LVPs are my LVP is apple farmers, because the apple industry definitely took a massive hit after people had to visually see someone eat an apple out of Preston's ass. I think it just took years to recover.
That's true. Yeah, big downturn there. Big Apple,
Big
not
Apple,
the
yep.
city, but the conglomerate really struggled after that. Yeah.
Not the tech industry either.
No, good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listener, you are the apple of my ass, and I hope you'll follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, at JackassPod. If you want to communicate with us, how you've been, liking this shit so far. We've got at least one or two in the can, I think. So stick around. Jackass 3D continues here on Jackass. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not going to drag this out because Chris is a man of the people and he has shit to do.
Thank you,
So,
Jay.
you're welcome. Until next time, bye. I'm Jason Wellwood.
Bye, I'm Chris Aaronworth.
Bye, I'm Mikey Aaronworth, and this has been Jackassed. This has been Jack Apple of my ass past.
Yeah, there you go.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it.